It's take two. Take two. Figured out what I was doing wrong. Figured it out. So, I could hear myself twice now. That's no bueno. All right. I got it, guys. Sorry about that. Like I said, well, actually, I don't know if you guys didn't hear me say this, but this is my first time streaming on Twitch in like 5 years. That's been a long time. But hey, we got it working. Sorry for those. Thanks for sticking around. Whoever stuck around, I appreciate it. But welcome. So what we're going to talk about today, as you can see on here, is the Unofficial Bradcast World event. I'm done going through the data, and let me post on here for all those that joined and didn't have the audio. I figured out the issue. It was a stupid OBS issue. There, posted in there. Anyway, so we're going to talk a bit for a while about the world event that just happened, the unofficial, official, whatever you want to call it, Worlds event. Basically, I've gone through all the data now. I'm missing still 1 or 2 games, I think. I don't think I got an answer on those. I'll actually check now. But basically what we're going to talk about is I want to go through the data. I want to talk about the recap. We talked about it on the most recent episode of Clicked Off, which I don't think has been posted yet. But that doesn't matter. I'll tell a little bit about how my day went, how the tournament went. And yeah, and really start digging into this data, because I am a fan of, fan may not be a big enough word. So I do auditing for my, real person job. And one of the things I love doing is dissecting data. I really, really enjoy, collecting data. I really enjoy looking through it, cleaning it, and coming up to some conclusions. And so one thing that I've talked about on the podcast, I've talked about it in a lot of different places, is that I always wished when they recorded who won, I wish the win had a place to record who won map, because winning map, as we all know, is kind of for a lot of teams, it's vitally important, like incredibly important to win map. And that's what we're going to look at a little bit. So thank you guys for coming by. So let's talk about the tournament. So what I played a variation of what I played at the Clickstoff Classic, and that's the Gladi team. With Doom Annihilator and the Conqueror, I went up to 3 flashes, and I played the flash no one wanted to play, because he gets rid of... he breaks stealth, basically, which is a problem with Gladiator. And then I ditched the Power Gem, because Reality Gem is just so good, and giving Gladiator 2 targets means he has an additional chance to hit somebody. I added Carnage Symbiote in case I wanted to put that on Gladiator in the event that I was going against a Temple or going against a mirror match or something to give me a little bit of an edge. But ultimately, I don't think I ended up using the Carnage Symbiote once. I think I equipped it maybe once. I only equipped the Reality Gem. And I had the Incandescence Ring on there for obviously Energy Explosion, because if I could Energy Explode with Gladiator, that's even better. Or with Sorcerer Supreme, Doom, or Valeria, or whatever. But I didn't end up playing any of those or using them. Ended up 3-2 on the day. To sum it up real quick, I went 3-2 on the day. You can see my first match was against Alyssa, who was the Fellowship winner. She was playing Starjammer, so it was like a Gladiator on Gladiator matchup. And as you can see from our data here, we both were +6. She ended up winning map, And I ended up winning. A lot of it was because her team was built around using Hepzibah to keep Gladiator alive, because Hepzibah, and she uses the Corsair team up card to give Shi'ar Starjammers, and then Hepzibah has her trait where if a person with the Starjammers keyword would be KO'd, they instead are turned to the last click, roll a d6, half the result, heal them. And if it wasn't Hepzibah, Hepzibah goes to her last click. So basically, it's like a stop click for Gladiator, which goodness knows that's all he needs is another hard way to kill him. But the problem is that I'm playing Doom the Annihilating Conqueror, who takes away all your keywords. So, Gladi Daddy lost his Starjammers keyword, so that kind of was a rough spot there. So I won that game. Then I went and played Isaac, who Isaac built his team a little bit in anticipation of Gladiator. Isaac went on to be in the finals. In the sense that he played Machine Smith with his Jason Wingard. So that was Machine Smith popping out a robot dupe to to basically be a little pog that has the stats of Gladiator is not fun. Like, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. It was not fun having that guy around. But Isaac's obviously an amazing player. And even though I won map, I just didn't position well. So it's a bummer. After that, though, I went on to... let's see, where'd I end up? Playing Joe Kovacs. That was a cool game. I lost that in the last action. We were tied, and he defeated my Flash. He was playing a super cool team. And once again, if you've heard the recent podcast, sorry, this is kind of a little bit of a recap, but Joe was playing a mystical team, but he was playing Herbert, Blackheart Wyndham, and he was playing Speed Weasel. Speed Weasel. Like, I wasn't suspecting that. Now, Blackheart obviously was the MVP. I KO'd Speed Weasel. Actually, Felix was probably the MVP, to be honest, because he took away most of my probs. I took out the two Wendigos. I took out Speed Weasel. I think that's all I took out. That was 90 points. No, I took out something else. Speed Weasel had something. Where is it? 60, 30, 90? No, I had 25 more points, so I don't know where I got the other 25 points. He may have popped somebody out, actually, now that I think about it. Oh, a guard. I killed a few guards. That's what it was. He kept KOing guards. I forget about that every single time. So that was a cool match. Like I said, he punched my Flash with the last action and won the game. So I was going in as 1-2, not feeling good, but then I ended up winning my last two matches. I beat Joe Gualtieri. He was a cool non-theme team. And then I beat Tony Bruno, who he was playing Tyler's team, which is the animal team. So that was cool. But they were close matches. I ended up missing cut by like 150 points, maybe a little bit more. I didn't score a ton of points on the day. But that was kind of like my sun is setting for Gladiator. Not the way I'm saying it. He's not bad. He's still a force to be reckoned with. It's more of I'm not playing him anymore for the immediate future. I think the meta has definitely caught up to Gladiator. Like, I feel like, and this is kind of some of the things we could talk about, and I am looking at chat, so if anybody wants to say anything in chat, we'll talk about it. I feel like the meta is new hotness, because we're getting set so frequently that it's definitely, I want to play something new that the meta hasn't seen yet because they haven't prepared for it. Because with all the online stuff going, with all the teams that we have, talking teams, Heroclix teams like Clickstaff, Phoenix Nest, Earthbound and Down, all of those, that it's a lot about, not only can I produce a good team, can I also produce a good team that people aren't necessarily prepared for? And Gladiator has been around since Rise and Fall, and we haven't had any new sets in this. It's just Gladiator was a pretty easy entry to play. Building a gladiator team was, I would say, easy. 100 points, give him a power gem, and then pick your flavor. Do you like switch out teams? Do you like just him as Cosmic? Do you like him with Doom, which I preferred with Doom? Like it just opened itself up to being very flexible, but at the same time predictable. Very predictable. And so that's why a lot of teams are prepared for Gladiator. Isaac prepared with the robot dupes. Getting a lot of attacks on him, make it where you have a lot of rollouts, makes Gladiator not happy. But by the time this tournament rolled around, Gladiator had been around for 3 to 4 months. That's the meta solves teams in 2 to 3 months. It is probably sooner, but we don't have tournaments every single month, so you don't know. But so yeah, this is kind of my. I'm not with Empire. With Empire finishing up or coming out now, I've turned my sights to something else. To be perfectly honest, basically I am focused on Ultron and Switch Out. So let's talk Switch Out for a minute, and then we'll get into the map stuff. I'm sorry, I know you guys are here for the map stuff. One of you guys is going to talk about map bonuses. But let's talk about the new age of Heroclix meta play, if you will. Basically, it's a mechanic that isn't a game element, so you don't really consider it that way. We had the age of ID cards, the age of resources, the age of, there's a bunch of location bonuses, title characters, but the switch out doesn't really have an official name. We just call it switching out. But we have so many pieces now. Fantastic Four has theirs. They were the one to start it. And it's been a minute, right? It's been over a year and a half since Switch Out has been introduced. Fantastic Four started it. Then we got the latest ones with the X-Men and Brotherhood, Hellfire Club. And then it's continued on, refined a bit, into Avengers, which is what we'll see in Empire. And so it's definitely something I think WizKids likes, the Swiss Army knife that you can build, and it's basically overtaking the meta, I think. It's something to where if you don't win map, that's okay. I could switch my team to something that's more flexible. And that's what we saw in this tournament, right? So if you look at the winners, so if we go in here and come on. Let's say we are going to take out all the miscuts. All right. So if we look at this in general, there's a top 16. I think it is. Yeah, top 16. One, we had a very surprising amount of non-themed teams. To be fair, though, it's easier. This is the tricky part, I think. Building non-theme is hard because you're so wanting to build theme. So I feel like our mindset nowadays is build theme. And to build non-theme is counter to that. And so it's a harder mindset to go against what has been ingrained in us for the past, ever since they really gave a lot more bonuses to being theme. So going non-theme, you really have to think outside the box, literally, because you have to say, I'm just going to play the best figures, but that works in some cases, works in not some cases. It's sometimes you have to build for the meta, which is what Isaac did. But the benefit of non-theme is you're building in the mindset of, if I win map, that's cool, but I know I'm not going to most of the time. So I'm just going to play the field. Whereas there's a lot of teams that build where winning map ups my percentage significantly. Tyler's Animal Team, for example, is one of those. Where if I go first, and it's not just winning map, I'm also talking about going first. If I go first, then obviously I'm going to have a huge advantage. Because I get to essentially attack first, unless my opponent comes out first turn. Second player could attack first if the first player comes out first, if that makes sense. So you have the added benefit of winning map and that. So there's a lot of teams built around that. Animal is one of them. A lot of the other Alpha Strike teams. There's some X-Men Alpha Strike. There's some Hellfire Club Alpha Strike with Blackheart, rushing them across the map. So a lot of those prefer Monster. As you can see here, the Monster is high theme because they prefer to go first. Non-theme builds with the mindset of, I'm okay with going second because I probably will. And that's means they're good for all matchups. So I think their percentage of winning, if you're just going raw, is better than those who prepare to win map and lose map. You know what I mean? So I feel like if you're non-theme and it's a good team, your winning percentage on the day in general, just not map winning percentage, but winning on the day, is probably better depending on your theme, depending on everyone's average theme bonus. Or the field on how many people are building to have to win map. So the benefit of switch out teams is that you have a backup in the event that you don't win map. A lot of these teams, now there was 2 X-Men teams on the field. Adam Masajewski, sorry if I butchered your name, and Caleb, who won it all. So top 4 had 2 X-Men in it. And also 2 non-theme, I believe. Let's see. Yeah. Josafa and Isaac were non-theme, and then Caleb and Adam were plus 10. Craziness. Craziness. But the X-Men team is pretty interesting, and MVP by far is Jubilee. Everyone knows about Jubilee. She turns into a dragon. Pretty cool. If you go to that other world's Arthur's Castle or whatever they called it. And she was MVP, and you can look at Caleb's record through this. I mean, when he won map against a 0 bonus. So he got lucky there. But in that matchup, it didn't matter. It was X-Men versus X-Men, so both Jubilees were on the field. It's just Caleb went first, which is a big deal. Plus 3 there for Caleb. He was actually a -1, Paul was a +1, but he still won. But through most of this, Caleb was a +2, +3 for pretty much the whole day. So it makes sense why he would win as much as he won map. So let's talk more about this, about the data. Less about the meta. Let's talk about the data, and then we'll talk about some other things with the meta. So, one question I get a lot, and I've asked a lot, and I feel like I ask this every couple of weeks, every month or so. I'll ask, how much theme do you need to consistently win map? I've heard 8-9. I've heard 10-11. I've heard people say higher. Looking at just the raw results of this tournament, the answer is 10-11. It just is. Your field, if you want to make sure, because the object is obviously, you don't even have to look at rolling percentages. Like, you don't have to look on the side of the map. Like, you don't have to look at it all, or side of the screen. All you got to look at is just these numbers, theme bonus. And there's not a single 2 or 3 theme on here, which makes sense. You go big or go home, right? There's not tent poles out there. There's no nulls with a double null and someone else for a +3 theme bonus. It's 5 or above, sometimes 4. I myself was a 6, but a lot of people were 7s and 8s, and there were 5, 10 and above. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all of them made cut. Yeah, if I took out theme and started at 10, 11. Oop, left in 7. 5 of them, all of them make cut. Now, to be fair, 2 of them didn't have to play in Swiss. They played in the other tournament. I don't have their records, but they played well enough to make it immediately into top 16 in this tournament. Because remember, there was an in-person portion of it. So George and Patrick, they came in with it a plus 11. Adam, Caleb, and Paul. Well, Paul was also a plus 11. Adam and Caleb came in with a plus 10. They all made top cut. Is there a correlation to that? By the way, anybody watching, feel free to jump in the chat. Feel free to say something. You know, if you have any questions or any specific data points you want me to talk about, I will do so gladly. And this will be posted on my YouTube, and this will be posted, I think, on Facebook. We'll see. So let's look at these. Let's look at these 5 teams, because I was having a little bit of a debate with Tyler the other day. Do these teams have to win map? You would think if you were building a 10-11 theme, you would want to win map. Like, you're building it that high to specifically win map, right? Fortunately for us, there's we've got X-Men, 2 X-Men teams, which were very similar, scientists and 2 monsters. Got you on the drive home. I saw the Sentinel build. How did he actually do? I was curious about that. The Sentinel build. Well, I'll get to the Sentinel build here in just a second. Let's see, where is he? Actually, I'll get to it now. Sentinel. KL. He missed cut. And here's the KL team. So he's playing... Oh, yeah. KL was playing the Master Mold at 200 points. The stones on this guy to play Master Mold at 200. But to be fair, you know, we've talked on the podcast about Master Mold before and talked about how, well, he could just get outwitted and he could just be taken down. But he played him at 200, two Dr. Aaliyah Gregors, 1 Bolivar Trask at 35, and then he fluffed up his team with some Friends of Humanity and then the Reign of Terror bonus. His record on the day, he won round 1, so he was 1-1 going into round 3. He lost, and he won. So he was 2-3 on the day. 2-3. He lost against Nate's Latveria team. He lost against Peter Melton's team. I don't remember what Peter was playing. Peter was playing Latveria. Lost against Kenny, who was playing Latveria Bat Doom, which I could see why that would be a big deal. He beat. He beat Nate. He lost against Peter and Kenny. And then he lost against Austin, which Austin was playing Soldier, which is neat. And then the last one that he played was against Irvin, and Irvin was playing X-Men. Yeah, exactly. Master Mold. The problem with Master Mold and most Colossals right now is the fact that Batman still exists. We talked about it on the podcast. Once again, I don't think the episode is out yet, but I mentioned on there about how, you know, a couple years ago. And sorry, I'm going to open this Dyson token pack while I'm talking. A couple years ago, we had like the triangle. The triangle of balance, or the Triforce, or whatever you called it, where basically Batman existed, then there was Vulture, and then there was Black Widow. And they all kind of countered each other, where Vulture, Batman took out Vulture, Vulture took out Widow, Widow took out Batman, or vice versa, something like that. But it was like, that was the meta. Like, there were some teams that could come in a little bit, but for the most part, those were the main teams. It was just a rock, paper, scissors type deal. But now, the meta has just shifted, And it's so open in a sense because you have Sky Tyrant, aka Mini Vulture. He fills the Vulture role, essentially. You have to be prepared for a Sky Tyrant. You still got Batman. He's still around. Black Widow's gone. Gone. Empire might change that. But Black Widow's gone. But now you have all these other teams. You have Gladiator, obviously, is a big threat. You've got switch-out teams. X-Men. Hellfire Club. Eventually Avengers. Fantastic Four isn't even out here. No one played Fantastic Four, but we're getting a lot more Fantastic Four pieces. So switch out Fantastic Four could be back because we're getting more Fantastic Four pieces. Not the deep cuts, but the new OP kit ones, the ones that we're supposed to be play at home, whatever they're called. The ones that everyone's waiting for and we just don't know when we're getting them. Those are good Fantastic Four pieces. So who knows? I mean, they could come back too. But Switch Out is the new... Switch Out basically took the triangle and just like broke it into 20 different pieces. Broke it into so many different sides because now there's counters to everything. And so there's so many oppressive teams. Monster, Patrick Fraser's team of monsters, incredibly oppressive. Animals, very oppressive if you're not prepared for it. It's almost like there's a lot of if I hit this win condition, I'm going to hit it a majority of the time. Like if I win map and go first, I have a good chance of winning. Like Animal. So it's interesting. Just seeing how many teams have come out of the woodwork, how much variety I feel that there is. And I don't feel like this time last year, we had the Online Worlds event, Online Nationals event. I feel like this is taking me back a little bit, but I feel like there was a mindset for a while of people would play in WKOs or online tournaments, not their A game. They would play their B plus A minus game. That's where they would test things out, have some fun. And then when they went to regionals or went to nationals or worlds, they would bring the A game. They would bring the Kobik Trader teams. They would bring the big boys. And so you couldn't get a good feel for what the meta actually was because you would see reports from WKOs and Winamaps or whatever, even some states too. And it was just kind of, whoa, that guy's playing that team? I've never seen him play that team before. And it's because people were tired. People get tired. Like, think about it. Think about this. No one is playing Punisher War Machine. No one is playing Immortal Hulk. Those aren't bad pieces. You know what? Kobik and Trader are still legal. Like, they're still legal. And sure, Trader, I get it. Trader, the whole switch out thing that got nerfed, I get it. But they are 100% still legal. And absolutely no one plays them. And part of it, I think, is maybe our attention span as Heroclix players. We want to play something new. Oh, I won with this already. Why play with it again? And so the switch out teams... Oh, excuse me. I'm still recovering from some laryngitis. Bad cold I had. The switch out teams provide that revitalization, I think, for certain pieces. Avengers. I mentioned Immortal Hulk. I mentioned Black Widow. Punisher War Machine. Which he's S.H.I.E.L.D., but we'll count him. They're all going to make a comeback. And that's when, if you thought the meta is open now, wait until Empire's legal, which it came out 2 days ago. Wait till it's legal, and you have Steve Rogers or Captain America popping out Avengers teams. Now I know his is more limited. I get it. It's a lot more quite a bit more limited than just open as its standard characters. So it's not like X-Men, but Avengers doesn't have giant characters anyway. I mean, I don't know who on the Avengers team you would want to bring in and can't. Any non-standard characters, I should say. So yeah, the meta is wide open. I mean, you could see here, just on themes. If I were to say what the most popular theme was, let's look at this. I'm going to guess Latveria, right? Because it's the easiest to build. Because I played it, Brandon played it, Dan played it, Kenny played it, Nate played it, then Peter and Ray. So that's 7. So we've got 7 Latveria. 7 Latveria teams. X-Men. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 X-Men. Now keep in mind, all these Latveria teams, no one is getting higher than an 8, generally. And the reason being is because Latveria just doesn't have a lot of low theme pieces. They have so many key cogs. Like Doom eats up 75 points. That's a lot. Batman eats up only just 40, but you have to play Waller to bring in Batman. So that's 70 points. Gladiators, 100 points. Like, the Flashes eat up 50 points. Like, you don't have those low theme pieces like multiple men and Wendigos. Because that's really how you're getting these top themes. Besides Scientist. See, what other interesting ones? We had an Excalibur team out there. Robots. Aaron and Ed were rocking some robot teams. We had 2 robots. Hellfire Club. I was expecting a lot more Hellfire Club. We only had 3 Hellfire Clubs. And keep in mind, this was a field of 40. So we're not talking like a little 20-person tournament. Like, it was a big, pretty good sized tournament. I think that's how many we had in Worlds last year, was around 40-ish. I don't honestly remember. The Rock Worlds. So, let's see. Are there any other... Monster. That was the other one I wanted to look at. Going into this event, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Wow. You actually had one more monster than X-Men. Now, going into this event, I assumed we were going to see a lot of monsters, to be honest. Pat's team was pretty oppressive, and I thought very strong, especially if he wins map. Incredibly strong. Now, maybe people weren't paying attention to the results of the Clicked, the Clickstoff Classic, but I was trying to prepare myself for that because I knew I had problems with it. I beat him once at the Clickstoff Classic because I won map, and I had some tricks, but he would know my tricks. So, but we had 5. I said 5, right? 5 monster teams. Aaron's monster team with an E was Blackheart, Sky Tyrant, Venom, Strange, Scarab, so way different. Not so much fluff. Let's see, who else do we have out there? Paul. Ooh, careful. Paul was playing Sky Tyrant, Scarab, Venom, Strange, Commissioner, Scott Porter, Proteus. So, pretty similar to Pat's. He just didn't go Moloid, Moleman. Pat is really the only one that really tapped into that whole Moleman Wendigo thing. Because, I remember when Moleman came out, everyone talked about Moleman and Wendigos. They may have talked about... No, I don't think the Hulks had No, it was mostly Mole Man and Wendigos. It's just at that time you had Batman, and so Batman was there just pew, 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 pew. There goes all your Wendigos. But that doesn't mean they went away. And so that's why when Batman goes away and people aren't playing Batman, because they did it for a while until Dan's team of Latverian Batman came around, Batman was gone, right? For like very, very rarely played. And so that makes sense why Wendigos would come back. So yeah, if you're looking at top teams, Latveria was the highest team played, highest most often team played, and you shouldn't be surprised by that. Monster was next with 5, X-Men was next with 4, Hellfire with 3, Robot had 2. There may have been some other 2s out here. Animal, there's actually 3 Animal. 3 Animal right out there with Hellfire Club. Scientist, Spider-Man Family, couple mysticals out there. Actually, only one mystical out there. Sentinel, like we talked about in Justice League. West was playing Brotherhood of Mutants. So yeah, there's a lot of variety. A lot of variety. And you can argue that Latveria was a lot of variety because, you had Kenny and Daniel was playing the Batman version, Bat Doom. I was playing the Gladiator version. Let's see. Brandon, I think, was playing also Bat Doom. Let's see. What are the other ones? Nate and Peter. Let's look at Nate and Peter. Nate was playing Sky Tyrant version. No Batman, though. Just a different variation. High Evolutionary. Peter. Hold on. Sorry about that. My son decided to try to barge in. And then Peter was playing also Bat Doom. So let's see, who else? Ray Williams. I didn't realize there's so many Bat Dooms out here. Hey, Ray was playing Emperor Gladiator. All right. No, he played Sky Tyrant. Which, to be perfectly honest, I don't know why I didn't play Sky Tyrant. Why didn't I play Sky Tyrant? Now I'm having a recollection of I should have played Sky Tyrant. Oh, crap. But, I have that mindset also of just like, I don't want to play. Like, I never wanted to play Vulture. And so I'm kind of the same wheelhouse as I don't want to play Sky Tyrant. I want to be one of those that builds a good team without Sky Tyrant in it. So, once again, talking about themes, let's talk about winning percentages in Swiss. Now we have some questions here and question marks here because there's one game for both players, a couple players where they didn't roll. I don't have the result, so I don't know their ultimate win percentage. But when you look at someone like Adam, who was a 10, he won 7 out of 8 times, and you could go out here, and all this will be made public. I'm going to put it on the Clickstuff website. So if you want to dig into this cool document that I made, perfectly fine. Sorry, when you give the kid the phone and he really wants to play it, and he accidentally locks himself out of the phone. Anyway, you'll be able to see this document on the Clickstuff website. Maybe over the weekend I'll be able to put it up. I got to figure out how to make it work, how I want it to work. So yeah, let's also look at Adam. We were looking at Adam. Because I also put out here, I put this out actually, I haven't had a lot of time to dissect this because I literally put it up probably about an hour before I started recording. The average roll bonus. So Adam was a 10. So let's go through his matches real quick and see how often he had a bonus higher than his opponent. So first matchup was against Bat Doom. He was a +3, obviously. Second match, Latveria, he was a +2. Against Matt Donham, 3. Peter Melton, 3. And against Dan, 3. So all of his matches, he had 2 and above bonus. And you know the numbers. We've talked about them on the podcast. If you're a +3 on average, you should have like an 85% chance to win map roll. So the metric that we've been missing in the meta is what is the average theme bonus? And then how often did those teams face each other? Because obviously if you have a high theme team and it's a very popular team. So X-Men, for example, after this tournament, now that this has been going on, a lot more people will be playing X-Men. Let's be real here. It's a cool team. If I was playing in a smaller tournament, I would probably even entertain the idea of playing X-Men. Because it's cool. It looks cool. So if you get a lot more people playing X-Men and it succeeds, then theoretically, and you succeed, then you should be theoretically facing more teams with a higher bonus near the end. Through the tournament, if that makes sense. It's kind of I'm phrasing this a little weird. So for example, with Adam, he had a +2 or higher through all of Swiss, and he was a 10. Caleb was a 10. He had a +3, +3, so it's twice now, +3. +2, thanks to Aaron, and then a +3. Exact same as Adam. Exact same. Who are our other ones? George doesn't count because George came in as top 16. He had 2 rolls though, and he won both of them. Pat, same thing, came in as top 16. He won his 1 roll. Let's talk about poor Paul. And look at his numbers and who he faced. Because Paul was a +11. And he ended up only getting half of his map rolls. So, like a general average, Paul was on the low side. But he still made top 16. Let's be clear, he still made top 16. So Paul's first game. Let's get over here. First game, he was a +3 against his opponent, and he won. Second game, he was a +3 against his opponent, so that's 2 so far, and he lost. Those happen. Everyone knows they can happen. It's unlikely, but otherwise that 85% would be 100% if it was different. If it wasn't that likely. He was a +3 again, and he won. He was a +3 again against Isaac and lost. So going into round 4, he was a +3 in all 4 of his games, and he was only at 50%, which is crazy. Statistically, it's not quite an anomaly, but more still in the bell curve. And then his 5th round, he was still a +3. So he actually had better odds during the whole tournament than Caleb and Adam because he was a +3 during all of it. They all had 1 game with a +2. And he went 3 out of 5. Then we get the cut. Let's talk cut. Paul won in the cut. He was a +1 against Caleb. So that's kind of a wash, right? A +1. That's you do that the luck of the dice. So Caleb won that one. Then Caleb had a +3 going into top 8. And look at this. This is the one I like most, is top 4. Top 4, no one had a bonus. Caleb and Adam played each other, and they were 1 for 1, so they were both 10s. And then Isaac and Josapha both played, and they were non-theme. Cracked me up. And then Caleb played Isaac at the end, +3. So, the one number I haven't done yet is odds of being a +3 against your opponent in this tournament. If you look down through the lines, so let's see, out of the 20 games for round 1, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of the 20 games had someone with a 3 bonus in it on their opponent. Which makes sense, because we had how many? We had 5 teams with a +10 and 4 teams with no theme. And I believe 2 or 3 of those were in the top 16 tournament. So what do you guys think? What are you guys thinking about this? If you have any questions or want to talk about anything, once again, feel free to say something in the chat. Hop in. Let's talk. But it seems clear to me now. Everyone was saying this before, but now the numbers are starting to back it up, because now we have numbers for about 110 and 115 games, which is what we need, right? It's one thing. Excuse me. It's one thing to say, oh yeah, you need, if you want a guarantee map, you need a 10 or 11 or 12 or something. It's one thing to say that. It's another thing to have the data to back that up. And as of one tournament, and you could say it's one tournament, but we're still looking at over 100 high-level games. This is the first tournament that I'm aware of that has publicly put out, has recorded who won map, and then publicly gave it out. There may be some local games that keep up with that, but Brad was nice enough to, at the last minute, I pinged him. I was like, hey man, let's capture map bonus, because I think it's a super cool metric. It's one of those wild things everyone always talks about, but no one has captured data-wise. And here we are. It's basically what I thought it would be. If you want to win map, 10 or higher is your point. Because let's look at Tyler. Let's look at Tyler real quick. Tyler was a 9. Is 9 good enough? Oops, wrong place. Round 1, Tyler had a 3 bonus. He's playing against a non-theme. Round 2, he was a +2. Round 3, he was +3. No bonus on the... That was a mirror match on round 4. And round 5. So 3 out of 5, he had a +3 on. 2 of those were non-theme teams. So let's look at Tony's, because he played another 9 theme team. And I have him in here as Tony Bruno. He may show up as Anthony Bruno as well. Tony played non-theme Isaac first round. That's funny. So he had a +3. Where'd he go? Round 2, he was a +2. I don't know why I keep putting fingers up. So 1 game so far. Where'd Tony go? Round 3, he was a 3. Round 4 was against Tyler. And round 5 was against me. So he was 3 out of 5. And one of those, both of them, they actually were, they mirrored. One was a mirror, the other was they had a +2. So what do you guys think? Do you think 9 is enough? 10 is just a sweet round number. But it's obviously hard to pull off for a lot of teams. Because there's not a lot of fluff for a lot of things. +9. Is +9 enough? Because on the day, Tyler rolled 4 out of his 5. The one he missed was against Tony, and that didn't hurt him that much. And then Tony, 4 out of 5. I don't think there were any other 9s. Nope, those were the only 9s. I think 8 is where you start getting a little sketchy. Let's look at 8s real quick. Aaron. He played Robot. He was an 8. Blank bonus at the beginning. He had 1 3+ against Joe, who was non-theme. Then he was mirror match-ish. Robot. Not necessarily mirror match, but robot, so no. He was under against Caleb. And then he was a 3, so 2 out of 5. So just lowering theme once took it down to where he was only a +3 2 times. So you got to think about what teams are going to be the most popular and most played. And I know the player counts a lot into that. Bat Doom in the hands of Daniel is much different than Bat Doom in the hands of me, for example. Because he's got hundreds of hours more in practice than I do. Same with Tyler and Animals. So the player counts a lot of it, but you also got to think, okay, are the most popular and powerful teams high theme? And I would argue going into this, I was thinking sorta. I only got to a 6 theme. I think originally I was a 7. I dropped down to 6. I didn't feel good about it, but I felt like 5, 6, 7 was about the same. And I think that's true. I think 5, 6, 7 is a toss-up. I didn't have a bonus. I had a bonus against Isaac because he was non-theme. That was... And against Joe. I went against 2 non-theme teams. So I had a bonus twice. Out of 6. So I was saying that today, if you're building a team, which I would highly recommend, don't build a team that relies on you winning map and going first. Because you could fall into a Paul Cote situation to where you only hit about half of your rolls, even though you should have a +3 against everybody. But you want to hit that magic mark. 9 is okay. 9's okay. 10 is much better. But 9 is probably the bare minimum for teams where you have to win map. That's the biggest thing. And I would argue also, how many of these teams do you have to win map against? Animal is one of the teams. We talked about this. Animal is one of those teams where you have to win map. Your winning percentage goes down significantly if you don't. Monster, I would argue, is the same thing. Because if you go against a Batman, you go against anybody with... Everyone's got full map reach. So you go against one of those teams, it's worse. Jubilee is the X Factor. Ha, funny. Is she even on X Factor? No, I'm going to look that up. I don't think she ever was on an X Factor. But if she had the keyword, man, I would crack up because I didn't even think about that. No, Generation X is what I was thinking of. Never thought she was actually an X Factor. Multiple Man was, though. Anyway. We were talking about this on the podcast. Precursor for those who haven't seen the episode yet or heard it. We were talking about how just good and annoying Jubilee is. Like, when she wins map, Jubilee and she turns into her dragon, she can't be outwitted. She's got invincible shape change. And she's only 50 points. So she's really hard to kill for 50 points. You can easily argue she's much harder to kill than Sky Tyrant. She's got full range. She's got alpha. She's got mystics from range. She could destroy your blocking for free. Remove all non-debris terrain markers within range. She has an 8 range. Psychic Blast. She's a menace. She's hard to take out. And so, yeah, you want high theme because you really want to play her on Otherworld Castle. And, if that doesn't work, if you don't hit that map, which... Let me look at this again. Where is it? Adam, I think, won map every single time, right? Where am I going? He's right there. Twice. 3 times. 4 times. 5 times. 6 times. 7 times. 8 times. So in all 8 games, Adam won map every single time. Now, he lost against Caleb, but Caleb is obviously putting him on the same map. So he would still get the Jubilees. Actually, I don't know if Caleb did. I assume he did. Like, that's insane. That's insane. Adam's a good player, but if he lost map, I think he would be in a much tougher row because I think Jubilee honestly is quite oppressive. Not Sky Tyrant, not Vulture oppressive. Like, people are going to start building around her. We saw Jubilee a little bit at the in-person event back in the summer in Huntsville at Lucky Dice. I played Azareth. Azareth was playing it. And that's really when, the switch out teams were coming into play. And, there was a little bit at the Clickstoff Classic. But since then, there hasn't been a lot of tournaments. There's been the Bradcast Friday tournaments. But there hasn't been a ton of big tournaments. So X-Men hasn't really got a ton of play. So it's definitely... Now, can the meta solve Jubilee? I mean, I got to solve for you right now. My homeboy Dr. Thing will just come back. Main Force Dr. Thing. Because you're probably not winning theme. But Main Force Dr. Thing. And just take Jubilee out. Is that effective? I don't know. That's a hard counter for one team. Maybe 2. If you're going against a Blackheart team. But let's just not forget that Dr. Thing is a thing. Especially if Avengers start picking up, right? If Avengers starts picking up and we have a lot of teams with Avengers, then I think Dr. Thing being main force is not necessarily a bad idea. And Daniel joked about it on other on the podcast before, playing a 3 Dr. Thing team. But Dr. Thing has Armor, Brute, Latveria, Ruler. And this doesn't obviously stop main force Jubilees. Maybe that just means they'll just main force Jubilee. Right? That's you just fix that. Um, but besides that, I mean, he doesn't do much. He doesn't have a charge. He doesn't. He just doesn't. But a lot of the games I play in outside of Doom, my Dooms don't do a ton anyway. I don't do a ton with, excuse me, Lord Doom, because I'm always afraid he's going to die, because he does die quite quickly. Guys, throw me your questions. Let's talk about some more map stuff. I'm going to stay on for just a little bit longer. I did have some other things to talk about. You know, we talked at the beginning about the meta currently, and we were literally just talking about it. And I'm eager to see the effect of Empire. I feel like WizKids has done a good job in creating sets that have ramifications. We haven't had a lot of sets that don't have ramifications. Like, if I were to go back and look at the list of recent sets, the ones that have the least amount of ramifications in them, Fantastic Four, I think, is the number one. Yeah, 2020 Fantastic Four. Spider-Man, Carnage, you still have those objects, you still have the chases, and they may make a comeback with some of these things. You still have, like, isn't it funny how recency bias the meta is? You know, you solve a team and no one plays anymore. Like Mary Jane Watson, right? Weren't we talking about how crazy good Mary Jane was for the longest time? The set's a year old. A year and 3 months. I don't know if I saw any Mary Janes. Let me see. There was a Spider-Man family. Let's see. Did Jose play any Mary Janes? No. Let's see. I could probably... nope, not that. Oh, I gotta go to the top. Just kidding. Let's see. Any Mary Jane Watsons? I don't remember typing the name. No. No Mary Janes. There was Marvella. No Mary Janes. Were we not talking about how she's by far the craziest 15 points in the game? Wasn't that just like a hot minute ago? I feel like it was a hot minute ago. And I think it's just because I don't know if she ever got solved, but everyone's after the new hotness. I mean, even I'm guilty of it. I'm leaving Gladiator and going for my new best boy, not the Kotati Warrior. My new best boy, the Ultron drone. I don't know if you can even see that. Ultron drone. I'll get a little closer. I've got a Hank Pym, Ultron Pym, already on the way. Traded a Chase Thor for it. I can't wait to build him with him. And he's Avengers, so I can switch him out. And you know how much I love pod teams. So everyone's already looking at Empire. And everyone's already forgotten about Captain America. Or ABPI. Think about that. ABPI, outside of the objects, no one's playing, like we talked about, no one's playing any of the cosmic pieces. Has the power creep been that high? What do you think? The object changes hurt Mary Jane some. The throwing objects, like the object rules, Astronomer could get a final run. That's true. I've looked at Astronomer, but man, I mean, it's point costs, I guess. You look at Astronomer. 75 points, 80 if you equip it. 80 for that could almost get one shot by Sky Tyrant. But that was the same with Vulture, right? Astronomer saw the rise and fall of Vulture, and he sees Sky Tyrant. But at the same time, you look at him, and he, what does he do that other people can't do? He doesn't have a move and attack. He can shoot elevated. I get that. He can start with the power gem. I get that. 12 for 4 or 12 for 5. It's great. But he doesn't have a move and attack. He can power action to TK people around 2 times. That's 80 points. That's a lot. For 20 more points, I could play Gladiator. And isn't that always the argument? Isn't that always the argument of... like you try to say, hey, should I play this person? And you say, well, I can just do this instead. It's kind of like the matches, the verbal matches we get into of, well, then my team can do this. Oh yeah, well, my team could do this. Well, my team could do this. Yeah, you're right. Doom. Well, no, it wasn't Doom that killed Larry J. It was Lord Doom that hurt Mary Jane Moore. So she can't even make bystanders. I mean, both Dooms hurt, but I think Lord Doom is the one that really shut that down. And as oppressive as it was, man, are we thankful that Lord Doom exists. Because otherwise, Animal and Maggots would be everywhere. They already are everywhere. But once again, as part of that dodecahedron or that no longer triangle, but the multi-sided meta that we have, they exist to help curtail X-Men a little bit. Help curtail Animal. And yes, they're going to hurt my precious... Dadgummit, why do I keep picking up the Kotati Warriors? My precious... Not Jeff's. Ultron drones. Yes, they'll hurt my Ultron drones too. But you can switch out Ultron. So who cares? And a lot of people aren't main forcing Lord Doom, so maybe I'll just... Let's see, does Ultron, Pym... He's got Ruler, so I'll just play Ultron, Pym, and Dr. Thing. There you go. Ultron, Pym, and Dr. Thing. And then if I lose map... I guess if I lose map, you still get Lord Doom. Or I'll just main force him. I'll just keep him on my team. And you can just body block for Ultron. I'm so thrilled to be building with Ultron Pym. I've wanted a solid, very solid Pog generator for a long time. And Master Mold was great and is great. But he's a Colossal. He still deals with the whole Batman thing. Having a very solid Pog generator that also does mission points for no reason. Also, can you think about this? How much WizKids is throwing out options to limit probability control. Like, I think clearly they knew this was coming. Most of these pieces were coming when they did the changes to theme. They did it to now even generic keywords get theme bonus, theme probs. Because you still got Ace, which I think she allows theme probs. You've got Felix, Faust, who's super annoying when it comes to props. And then now you have Ultron Pym. When an opposing character that is part of a theme team uses probability control, after resolutions deal that character one unavoidable damage. Is that not insane? I can't wait to do the tier maker. Like, I can't wait to do that because Ultron Pym is just nutso for 80 points. Because with how many props, think about just animal. Like, we talked about this with Tyler. Like, animals, all the maggots have prob. Like, is this how they're going to get more people to play non-theme? Because once again, out of 40 teams, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had 5 that were non-theme. 5 out of 40. So 1 out of 8. Hey, Brad. Five out of 8. 5 out of 40 teams were non-theme. If Ultron Pym makes a break for it, which he probably will, I can see that number going higher. Because obviously, you don't want to risk your team taking one unavoidable just by using prob. Now, you can play with a bunch of prob and just opt not to use it, but man, not having prob, when you're building teams, the first things you think about is, do I have TK, do I have prob, do I have perplex? Outwit maybe, but with all the power cosmic, it's still not super hot. But it's those 3, right? TK, perplex, and prob. Like, it's almost like when you're creating a new password and it says it has a little check mark. When you fulfill something like length of the password, special character, a number, like when you're building a team, those are mentally you're making those parameters. Do I have a TK? Because almost every team needs it. Do I have a prob? Do I have a perplex? And so Ultron Pym taking away your probs. Oof. Yeah. Yeah, you missed the first hour, Brad. We were going over some of that. But yeah, 4 non-theme teams made top 8. Now, granted, where'd it go? Top 16. Or no, 3. 3 made it into... Oh, yeah, 4. Here it is. Yeah, 4 made it in there. One of them came from the in-person tournament. But as I was saying earlier, I don't know if that's necessarily true, if it's the player that helped the team go further. Non-theme teams can build with less restrictions. They're building in anticipation of not winning map. So they're more prepared for any scenario. Whereas a lot of these theme teams that have high theme, if they somehow lose map, they are mentally prepared for it, but maybe not have it in practice. Whereas non-theme, you could just prepare as if you're going second every single time. And you might go first, and that's a bonus, right? Going first is a bonus, no matter what. But if you are mentally preparing going second all the time, I think you're going to be in better shape than a lot of people. Now, Isaac also won map a decent amount of times, I feel like. He won it against Paul on 11. Let's see, I have it actually on the other page. Sorry, he was only 2 out of 9. But even for non-theme, that's pretty good. Brian was the one. That's what it was. Brian actually was 4 out of 7. Which is pretty remarkable for having non-theme. He was a negative. His opponent had a +3 on him round 1. He won map. His opponent had a +3 on him round 2. He lost map. Once again, +3. He won map. And +3. And +3. He won map 3 times against a +3. And that's all luck, obviously. That's that 15% chance of that happening. Which is insane. Good luck. Very good luck. So once again, though, if you've mentally prepared yourself to go second and you're now going first, that's an easy mental adjustment, and you probably have practiced that. I don't know how many people who have high theme have practiced going second. They do, but you're mostly worrying about your opening salvo. So I think non-theme is better than advertised, clearly, because you can see, as Brad mentioned, a fourth of the teams in top 16 were non-themed. And then you take that further, top 8, half of them. All 4 advanced. It's not as forced. True. The switch out teams are a little bit more forced, but at the same time they have a lot of options, and they keep getting more and more options. It wouldn't surprise me to see more Avengers. It wouldn't surprise. Obviously, we'll see a lot of Avengers switch out come Empire being legal. I think we'll see more Fantastic Four because we're going to get more Fantastic Four pieces of the Empire, and we're going to get those LEOP kit things. So, by the way, if you haven't already, feel free to follow me on Twitch. I'm going to start streaming on here more. I'm in my temporary setup at my parents' house, as we're still waiting for our house to get finished built. So once I get to my office, I'll be in a studio-esque setup, which will look nicer with lights and whatnot. But right now, I'm just kind of in a spare bedroom. But I'm going to be trying to stream on Twitch as opposed to Facebook, because Facebook just gets rid of your stuff. And I want to be able to stream music in the background to an extent, and you can't really do that on Facebook. You can to a degree with Twitch. But I plan on doing more streams sooner rather than later. Getting back into the flow of things, if you will. But yeah, any other questions about the Unofficial Worlds tournament? Because a lot of good data out of this. X-Men is a hit. Hasn't been solved yet as far as countering it. But I think Caleb's team is pretty much close to solving it team build-wise. Though we're getting more X-Men in this next set. We're getting another hard-to-kill Wolverine. So are we going to see some hard-to-kill Wolverine, shifty, switchy nonsense? Yes, multiple man absolutely does have a purpose. Multiple man body blocks Jubilee for turn 1, because Jubilee steps out. Turn 1, multiple man body blocks. Absolutely. He's not like the Friends of Humanity who just sit there and not really do much. Multiple man has a purpose. But a lot of these other themes that we saw, Starjammer is an exception. Latveria, for example, doesn't have low point theme fluff. Doombots, I think, are the closest. Right? I think Doombots are the closest. They're how many points? 15, but no one wants to play Doombot because they don't do anything. They're there for a running shot, energy explosion, 3 damage. It's not bad, but they don't body block as well as the others. At least in my opinion. I hope the spreadsheet I made helped speed up the process. It did when it came to top cuts and whatnot. I used it for that and some of the breakdown of games, but I mostly looked at the build sheets. I'm just used to reading those. I mean, you didn't have build sheets on the spreadsheet anyway, but yes, your spreadsheet was helpful in making this spreadsheet. Multiple man heals Jubilee when she lowers her values. Listen, Jubilee should never lower her values. She's a strong, independent woman. She doesn't need to be lowering her values for a multiple man. Let's see. What are you talking about? Oh, you're talking about using an X-Men team ability. I got you now. I got you. When she takes damage. Yeah, definitely. Fair enough. That is very true. You can even carry her, I think, because they have Underworld. But she already has the Alpha, so there's really no point to that. Hello, Hypertime Hero. Speaking of Hypertime, man, do I wish we got more DC pieces. Because Hypertime is a very fun team ability that... Let's see, there's only really one piece in the meta currently that uses it, right? Mr. Oz? Is there anybody else with Hypertime? Survey says Booster Gold. No, he's retired. Oz is literally the only piece with Hypertime. Do you think they're getting rid of it? 2x2 DC set is my dream. Eternals? Oh, yeah. You're talking about their trait. When an opposing character would move adjacent, you may roll d6 5 through 6. Yeah, the Legend of the Past trait. That's true, but no one's going to be playing Eternals. Let's be real here. I keep looking this way. I forget the camera's right there. No one's playing Eternals. Their point costs were built for a different time, unfortunately. Don't get me wrong, I like them. But how many people were rushing out to buy Eternals, unfortunately? If they had come out when they were supposed to come out, which was like a year and a half ago, or earlier, then maybe. But, I mean, we're not even doing it. I'm trying to convince the guys to do a brief tier maker for Eternals, but no one wants to. Because there's really no one in the set that is playable in a high-level event. Modern high-level event. Obviously, Sprite and a few others are good for Unimind, but it's a casual, yeah, exactly, Hypertime. It's a fun, casual, that, like, there's pieces you look at and you're like, that's neat. That's cool. Like, who was it? Athena? Was it Athena? Who was it that just kind of just... Like, Cersei, for example. Cersei's not bad. 50-point Cersei. She has Legends of the Past. She's got Barrier, Perplex, but only to target opposing characters. When she uses it, the target can use Earthbound Neutralize until your next turn. Which, unfortunately, new rules, that's not that big of a deal anymore. But that's something. But Ensnare, free. Choose an opposing character within range of line of fire until your next turn. Whenever that character is adjacent to blocking terrain within Cersei's range, it gains Immobile. So, I mean, Immobile is one of those that I wish there were. There's always been pieces. I feel like WizKids keeps giving us pieces that grant Immobile, and we just never use them. I'm sure there's a couple dark horses Paul or Josapha will try to make work. I don't know, man. Sprite, 35-point Sprite. Maybe. Outwit, Probs, Shape Change. Can't be targeted by people with non-adjacent opposing characters. So maybe Cosmic Celebrity Eternal. Isn't there also a cheap leadership or something? Like a cheap Cosmic Leadership, or am I thinking of something else? I must be thinking about something else. I don't see it. No, it's just a set that may have been better a year or two ago. As crazy as that is. Yeah, no problem, Brad. Thanks for coming out. You know, it's a slow time of year for Heroclix because, you know, we had the Brad's event, which was great. But this is how I see Heroclix going forward, is that, the pandemic hit, we lost all in action play. Online was just taking off. We're using Roll20. When the pandemic hit, we were running some things, occasionally win a maps. And this is from the Rock side. We were running some things, but it wasn't ever meant to be the major. It wasn't ever meant to carry Heroclix. The pandemic happened, and we had just gotten the JLU set, Captain America set. Everyone was eager to play their Heroclix. And so online took off because everyone was stuck in quarantine. And so we were running tournaments, man. Chad, Lucas, me, we were all running tournaments, like 2 to 3 tournaments a week. It was insane that summer of 2020 because we were just running so many. But the problem is that there is something about playing in person that's a lot better than playing online. Because we're not playing an official WizKids created online format like Pokemon trading cards has, like Magic has. So it's what was supposed to be a complement to in-person play had to become the necessity. And I think we kept Heroclix going for a while. We had the big online national tournament last year. A lot of people played in it. WizKids sponsored it. We had the not as successful World Tournament because we didn't plan it very well. And then the beginning of this year, things were opening back up a little bit, but still, WizKids didn't run an in-person event. But then we ran a Scott Porter Heroclix for Huntington's event, which I think was as big of a success as Nationals was. A lot of people showed up. A lot of money went to the Huntington's Foundation. And so it's something that we'll always have. It's always now married to Rock, and we're going to be continuing going forward. But one thing that fell apart, obviously, is outside of that, the demand for playing in online events plummeted. And so obviously nobody wanted to play Win a Maps. And I know prizing had a bit to do with that. I get it. But in general, it's just outside of people that just are desperate to play or really want to practice, there's not that general excitement for online play. Brad's tournament did well, 40 players, very, very respectable. And it's something because we hadn't had a lot of play. And this is the dead time, right? December is the time of year that people don't go out and play. Remember with Worlds 2019? No, 2018 Worlds in Philly. A lot of people didn't go because it was in December or November because that's too late in the year. November, December is when you got holidays, you're spending time with family. That's when online is supposed to thrive. Online is supposed to fill the gap. So I'm seeing a future, hopefully in 2022. We'll see about Omicron or whatever, but I won't get into politics or anything like that. But I'm hopeful for 2022 that we'll have a very good mixture, a hybrid, in-person and online tournaments. Because I really wanted online to thrive and Rock Online to thrive because I was in a scenario where I don't have a lot of in-person play available, high level. And right now, nobody does. But at the time, I did it locally. So I ran events. So I'm hopeful that things will get back to normal, relative normal. We'll get some in-person events. I think there's the Coffee with Clicks event in January. And that's the other benefit is we've gotten to the point to where we're not, different communities, clusters within Heroclix are no longer really feuding. Everyone's got their opinions about Rock. I get it. But there's not a lot of feuding. Everyone just wants to support everyone because everyone wants a tournament. Everyone wants to play. And sure, you had a lot of keyboard warriors when the pandemic hit and afterwards, but even that's mellowed out. I feel like recently. I feel like the Heroclix smack talk or whatever is not nearly as gnarly as it used to be. Because the people who smack talked are probably not players that play a ton. I've kind of deviated from what the stream was talking about, but we're at the end of the stream. I'm taking questions, talking to you guys. This is what I enjoy doing in streams, is either play a game or just talk Heroclix in general. Something I wish we could do more with our podcast was just generally talk to the community. Just to hear back and forth and just talk about ideas. Because honestly, if you're not on a Heroclix team, that's what the benefit of a Heroclix team is. It's for me to say, hey guys, should I be playing Ultron Pym? What do you think about this team? And sure, sometimes it devolves into, well, my team would do this, my team would do this turn I'd do this, well, this turn I'd do that, and you play that mental chess that isn't beneficial. But a lot of times it's just fun to talk about teams and talk about excitement. Empire, if you haven't gotten any yet, I hope your local gets some soon. I bought like 4 boosters, but I have a case come in and I have a bunch of others. Empire, I mean, people forget because we've known about Empire for a while. Remember, this is a set that has everyone in it. It's the first time we've had that since when? Avengers versus X-Men? I don't know how long it's been since we've had the whole... No, because Fantastic Four was before... stopped before that. Like, how down... Like, how downplayed has it been? Or how much have we taken for granted the fact that Empire is the first set with Avengers, X-Men, and Fantastic Four. Like, look at their costumes. Like, it's got everybody in it. Like, this is what we've been waiting for years. And sure, a lot of it is we're tired of X-Men. Everyone's tired of X-Men. Hyper Time, how do you get on a team? I keep hearing about them. Well, excuse me. I mean, just find like-minded individuals. So you can either try to join a team. Now, I know a lot of teams, it's how often you compete. Do you often go to tournaments and play? Have you been playing? You don't even have to be a good, amazing player, because that's what teams are for, is to help players get better. I think it's mostly just like, are you the type that only goes to like WKOs that are 30 minutes away, and that's the extent of your competitiveness? If so, then maybe a team's not for you. Maybe you should get a Facebook chat going with local players. Because I know personally, I part of Team Clickstuff. We have our own chat, and then locally, we have our own Tennessee Heroclix players little Facebook group. And we don't talk meta all the time because there's a lot of casual talk in there as well. But we talk Heroclix in general. It's the people that don't have people to talk to that I feel sorry for. And to realize that you can reach out to almost anybody and they'll be willing to talk Heroclix with you. I only started playing competitive about a year ago and have not had a game to go to. Oh, yeah, you joined at a bad time. But a lot of people are open. Like, there's so many Discords now. There's so many Facebook groups. Like, the Facebook groups are a little harder. It's more when you could get some chatting. Kind of like this. Okay, you've been playing for 10 years. Okay, I feel better now. You had me worried that you're like, like, pandemic, I want to get into Heroclix for the first time, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. Like, I have 4 kids. My boys love Heroclix, and the oldest is 10. Like, they love these little figures. And so if you've got kids, I always say, go buy some, go for the Troll and Toad sales. They're always dumping off. Like, last year, I bought a ton of those Ninja Turtle feeds, and just $10, gave them to my kids, and they loved it. Like, Heroclix is a very approachable game, even if you don't learn how to play the game. Competitive, I think, is probably the best time to join competitive play because there is so much variety. There's also the thing we haven't really spoken about, and I'll talk about a little bit, is owning figures, right? So a lot of online tournaments, Unofficial Worlds tournament, didn't require ownership of figures. And so if you go out to the trading sites, you go to Oxit, you go to the eBay, and you look at figures, there's just not as many out there, and there's just not as many, the prices aren't as high, I feel like, than they used to be. And that's because demand has gone down. You know, you probably had a decent amount of competitive players stop playing. They used this break as an opportunity to just stop. I've known a lot personally. Are you? You're Jackson. You're this Jackson. Jackson Smith. Yeah, you're in our Discord. That's right. The Clicksoft Discord. Yeah, that deity team was one of PJ's creations. Not trying to take away from you playing that if you created it yourself, but I remember PJ playing it a couple of months ago. The Wonder Woman switch out was scared, but again, I almost played a similar team. Oh no, it is PJ's team. Okay, I don't like saying you're playing PJ's team if you spent the time making it yourself. I feel bad, but yeah, it's a solid team. Very solid team. But it was, I would call one of PJ's B teams, if that makes sense. One of the ones he takes, but if it was a win-all tournament, I don't know if he would play it. He enjoyed playing it. I know that much. Because PJ is one of the most approachable people in Heroclix. So I've talked to him about this team, because we talk quite often about teams. And it's definitely one that I know he said he enjoyed playing. Probably one of the most enjoyable teams he's played in a long time. So you could have done a lot worse on what teams you picked. But yeah, getting into competitive right now. Like if someone were to come up to me, like a millionaire or something. Well, I guess millionaire doesn't fit the analogy I'm trying to do. Someone with a budget and comes up to me and says, "Hey, I've got $300 to $400. I sold all my very nice beating Tyler. If I've got $300 to $400, I'm quitting Magic, quitting Yu-Gi-Oh. I want to come play competitive Heroclix. I like something more physical. I like miniatures, but goodness knows I'm not getting into Warhammer or 40K or whatever." It's hard to direct people in the right direction right now because there are so many teams. You could say get some of the staples, and those aren't that expensive right now. You know, the Dooms have fallen in price. They're all under $100. The only really expensive pieces, like even Gladiator. Let me look at Prime Gladiator. How much is he going for? Because he was 150 for a while. And I got lucky and opened some. 120. 120, 140. He's fallen in price a little bit. The demand has just gone down for Heroclix in general. Which isn't surprising, because if you think about when the next in-person event is, you probably could not give me an answer. Though, obviously, Rock Cup is next year. Clicks Cup is next year. Both of those are happening in person. Unless something catastrophic happens again. We assume WizKids is going to do something. But who knows? But they're prepping themselves up to have LEs and stuff again. You know, they've mentioned that, so I don't know. If you were to try to get into competitive Heroclix right now is the best time probably in a long time, because the cost is down. Now, one thing to keep in mind, and I'll mention this every time, and it is that time of year. It's December, y'all. That means rotation's around the corner. We don't know how rotation is going to go. Last year was a little weird because of COVID. They absolutely did not rotate as many as they probably could have. Remember, they stopped at Rebirth. They should have gone through ABPI. If they were to do the same thing, keep in mind, that means, like, even, like, JLU is potentially gone. Captain America and the Avengers is gone. If this was a normal year, those figures would be gone. Can you believe that? It doesn't feel like it's that close. If JLU rotates, it cuts down the cost again in competitive. I kind of agree with that, but I kind of also don't, in the sense that I didn't play a single Trouble Alert or Trouble Maker this past weekend, or when this event took place. I didn't play it at all. And that's because my team didn't have a lot of pieces, a lot of attacks that I didn't hit. Like Gladiator is pretty much always going to hit. If he doesn't, it's because you rolled Shape Change or something. Hypertime, or Jackson, I would argue X-Men is a big loss, but ABPI is right up there. Losing the gems is pretty big right now. And we actually... we would probably lose the rings, too. Actually, let me look at that. 2018 is not legal anymore, right? It's just 2019? Sorry, looking at it real quick. So modern legal resources. Yeah, rings are gone. Rings are totally gone next year. So think about that. We are probably losing 50% of our equipment. 50% of our equipment we're losing. It's probably higher than that, to be honest. If we think about it. You got the Wonder Woman equipment, which sort of count. You've got the Fantastic Four equipment, which no one really uses outside of Radioactive Clay and Emotional Modifier. And Alchemical Fire. So then those are seen play. Spider-Man. It's basically Waldo Arms and Carnage Symbiote. Barely Carnage Symbiote. Sometimes all black. But then that's it, right? Yeah. Come rotation, that's it. We've got 3 sets with objects. And Wonder Woman is kind of like half a set of objects. This will probably be the biggest altering rotation. Meta changing rotation. Because last year, no, right? Like, this might be the first rotation where people aren't eager for rotation to happen. Everyone last rotation was excited because that meant Vulture was gone. Like, I remember when we were running, like, everyone was excited about rotation, right? Because we weren't losing much. We lost Batman. But to be honest, everyone agrees, and probably agrees, Secret Wars, Battle World, and Earth X were not big meta pieces. You lost Octopus Arms and some objects. But those 2 sets and Captain Marvel movie set, outside of Vulture and the Trouble Alerts and stuff, didn't radically change the meta. Or weren't in the meta at the time of rotation. But this time, Dark Phoenix is relevant by far. ABPI is relevant for the objects. WWE. WWE never got its chance to shine, unfortunately. Captain America and Avengers? To be honest, I know you said the ring will be gone as well. Yeah, I mean, it's the only special terrain currently. But you mentioned it, Jackson, that you think they're going to stop at JLU. I think they'll stop at Captain America. Captain America was the first set that really did not get to see play at all. Captain America came out in February of 2020. February is when things started hitting the fan. People were excited, they got it. There was some in-person tournaments. And then it was just gone. We got the Avengers switch out. Empire isn't an Avengers set. It's really the only core Avenger set that we have. War of Realms is more Asgardian based than Avenger based, but sorta. But they always like to have an Avenger set legal. And Avengers Defenders War, Avengers Infinity, Black Panther, Avengers of Black Panther and Illuminati, Captain America and the Avengers. There's always an Avengers set. So just like you were talking about, they don't want to go down to just one or no DC sets if they took out JLU. Or no, there's Wonder Woman. Just one set. I think they might keep Captain America. And just boot it back to, like, this is their opportunity to boot things back to where it's like, okay, we're just going to have everything on the year as opposed to that summer. Because they rotate the, excuse me, the last set to stay in. The last set to stay in this time was Rebirth, which was from March. So this is their opportunity to take the split that we had, because you had the LEs that were based on the year, right? And then you had the sets that were based off of June, because that was when Worlds was. And so it was just like a clock going around, right? Always offset, always guessing. This time they backed it up 3 months, kept in Rebirth. I could see them backing it up one more time and just saying, you know what? We're going to make rotation super easy for everybody involved. Rotation this year, 2019 is gone. If you are an object or a set that was released in 2019, it is no longer legal. Next year, if you are 2020, you're gone. It makes the most sense to me. It's what it should be. Because now there's no more thinking. There's no more awkwardness. If you're a set that was released in this year, you're gone. Q Prime could go. Who cares about Q Prime? This may be bitter from a man who never owned Q Prime. I tried though. So for those that don't know, I'm saying it today. This is an educated guess. I have no insider knowledge. I don't talk to WizKids people unless it's about tournament stuff. So I have no insider knowledge on any of this. But if I were my educated guess, because I've been pretty good about these, and it's kind of a wish too, I would think that rotation, and I'll probably say this on the podcast at some point, rotation, I think they're going to back it up, and WWE/Deep Cuts X-Men is really the last set to go. Because you're still cutting 2 major sets. 3 major sets. You're cutting Rebirth, ABPI, and X-Men. Dark Phoenix. And then all the little figures in between. But this keeps Captain America in for Empire, the switch outs, and for War of the Realms. So a lot of cool thematics in there. JLU stays. Black Widow stays. They get a little bit extra time to shine because they did not, and you get the also benefit of rotation now happens at the year. Still happens in June, but it's based off of the year. Come June, 2019's gone. And they may move that date, you know? They may move it from July. But I kind of like the idea of them going, I mean, I hope they do. That makes the most sense based off of their track record. But who knows? Anything else you guys want to talk about? I'm an open book for the next 10 minutes. I'll hit a nice, cool 2 hours. It took me a little bit to get set up. I was having issues with my mic. Because this, like I said, is a temporary setup. But I'll answer any questions, anything about myself, Heroclix, whatever. Once again, Coffee with Clicks. Coffee and Clicks. I don't know. They have a tournament, I think, coming up in January. I may have that wrong. Rock Online tournaments aren't dead. We're just still trying to figure out the whole prizing thing. Still working on that. TBD. We have some hope on some certain things down the road. Mid-January for Coffee and Clicks pod play. Yes, thank you, House 88 Jack. Yes, that was right. Pod play's fun. I like pod play. Pod play in the cut. It's a unique format. Only really done online, which makes sense. But it's an interesting format. Because you got a little insight of, oh, I know what I'm going to be playing. Or who I'm going to be playing against, I should say. So it's definitely interesting. Has anybody picked up new high-def teams with Demon and Armor will be big, I think. You know, everyone keeps mentioning Demon and Armor, and I don't know if I've seen it, and I was intrigued. I mean, it's an 18 defend. It can reduce penetrating. Can't positively modify or replace their attack value. He's solid. That's solid. Would I play it on my team with Gladiator? No. He doesn't do enough for that. Yeah, Jackson, that sounds like kind of a unique team. Like one of those unique, like, you put all your eggs in a basket to get 21 defense, but then you get, like, mauled by maggots, or, you know, Gladiator can easily get up to a 14, which I know with Demon and Armor, he'd still be a 12 with a lot of probs. I just think there's a lot of ways to lower the defense right now. If he was unoutwittable, if he had protected outwit, that might feel a little better. Not saying Demon and Armor isn't good. Demon and Armor is probably the second best chase. Is that about right? Second best chase? I seriously need to sit down and look at these, but I think Venom Magneto is unequivocally the best chase, right? Like, everyone agrees Venom Magneto's the best. Demon and Armor is rising up a bit. Add Venom Rogue to retail copy. Now, don't get me started on Venom Rogue. We've talked about it. I've talked with a lot of people about it. Everyone is expecting her to get a nerf of some sort. I hope they don't make it where she can only copy standard powers. I like the unique thing that she does. What they need to kill is the duration. The duration is what's bad. the fact that at the beginning of the game I could just pick an adjacent power and I have it for the whole game is bad. Very bad. But if you want to get her into great, not crazy, make her have to choose every turn. That way, if I run her and Sky Tyrant or something, I can't just have Sky Tyrant's power the whole game. I have to have Sky Tyrant nearby. And good players will mitigate that. So if any WizKids players were to, or WizKids employees were to watch this at some point, please don't nerf my girl Venom Rogue. Just, you can limit the duration. That's fine. Norn Rad. Haven't seen Norn Rad. Oh, that's the surfer, right? Yeah. I saw that. Yeah, too many points. Yeah, if you're looking for hype pieces, a little precursor to our tier master. If you're looking for hype pieces in this set, for the lower points, I mean, there's some good rares in this set. Venom Marvel Girl is pretty solid for 60 points, I think. Most of the primes are solid. To be honest, most of them are solid. Gamora might be the only one that... I mean, she's a mission point, but she's too many points. Like, Deadpool's even fine. But obviously, Ultron Pym. By far the best. With Captain Marvel being the second best by far. Because Captain Marvel is really good too. You could use him with that Demon and Armor team. But it's an exciting set. Super exciting set. I just bought a Captain Marvel Prime. The Marvel, the one from this set. Has there been another Captain Marvel Prime? Play him with DP and always retail. True. Not always. Batman could still kind of go around that. Batman just shoots everybody. Just shoots everybody. Unless I'm misreading Captain Marvel. When a friendly character within range and line of fire is targeted with an attack, before the attack is made, you may place Captain Marvel in a square adjacent to that character, and he becomes a target of the attack, even if he would otherwise be a legal target. A ruling's going to have to be made on that. The one ruling that would need to be made is if he was already the target. I think that's the big question. Because I don't know how much, even if it would be an illegal target, even if he would otherwise be an illegal target, I don't know if that circumvents like him being technically targeted twice. You know what I mean? Like, he's a target, but now he goes next to someone and is still the target. Like, I assume it works, but it would be something I would want a ruling on before I start playing it competitively. I assume it works, but it's one that I would be concerned about. That's what happens when they create these unique powers. It does something booping over. And he, otherwise, if he would have been an illegal target, well, what if he already is the target? Because then still, you still have the Batman problem. Unless you put him behind Dark Phoenix, which is super easy to do. But that's non-theme. Which we talked about non-theme, so... Anyway, we'll talk loads more about this. We're going to do a tier maker stream. Maybe this weekend? I'll talk with the boys. We might do one this weekend. If not the beginning of next week, we'll go ahead and do a tier maker for Empire. There's a lot to talk about in this set. So much to talk about. Any last... No, I don't think he does because of the illegal target thing. Then he is an illegal target. Well, I mean, I don't know if being targeted already makes you an illegal target. It's kind of one of those. There's not a precedent for it, So that's why I would want to get clarification. Oh, both Cosmic. Good call. I didn't actually look at his keywords. But yeah, I think that's I hit the 2-hour mark. Yeah, absolutely. Check out the stream. We'll post it on our chat. Once again, feel free, anybody who's still watching and who hasn't, follow me on Twitch. I'm going to start trying to promote this and my Facebook page, but you know, I tried to do the Facebook Live thing and it just wasn't as conducive as Twitch is. So I'm going to tone this up and make all this look prettier once I get to my house or my office and my studio. So anyway, thank you all for watching. 2 hours is a lot, but thank you guys for watching this. I will try to get this up, the dashboard or this thing on our Clicked Off webpage this weekend. We'll see. I'm going to go see Spider-Man tomorrow, so may not have time. But other than that, thank you guys for joining me, and I will catch you guys next time.